Good morning. Today is Friday, January 19th, 2024. My name is Terry Morgan. We are here to practice Wudang Qigong. This morning we're going to work on set 4, Alpha Gong, in the first edition of Wudang Qigong, and for many years I translated that as diagonal flying. Ow. This is going to one side, going to the other on the 45. And there's a better interpretation for that, though. Settling and flying. Lowering, settling, and then rising up. That settling. Then flying, now we're going to settle down, lower down. That concept is represented in the movement. It's also a concept that, as we're paying attention to the dynamics of the movements, as we're paying attention to how this movement works, how that movement helps to generate energy, as well as that internal breath, qi. So, jing, energy, qi, is often translated as this vital energy. It's correct. There's so many different ways to translate qi. It is difficult for Westerners because it's one of those fundamental concepts that is part of Eastern culture. In Japan, the same idea is pronounced ki. In other parts of China, I can find different pronunciations for the word qi. And as we pay attention to how pervasive that concept is in Eastern culture, we need to also acknowledge that we have the idea in Western culture. We just don't have that, to the best of my knowledge, we don't have that one single word that means so many different things that are all related to this idea that we have this internal breath, that we have internal energy, that we have more than just the physical body and the physical breath and the physical breathing apparatus. Let's get started. This cross-cultural understanding. This has its roots in Western culture, this has its roots in Eastern culture. How do we bring the two together so that we can look at both of them? Okay, it's not, we don't have to bring this one over here and that one over there. We just bring them together and look at them both. That ability is something that, particularly in this Qigong system, I want to encourage people to develop. Alright, I'm going to get started here. Feet about shoulder width apart. Wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingers. Bend the knees. Relax the shoulders. Hands circle to the front. Back around to both sides. Up along the center line. And reach out. Bend the knees as you go over. And again. One more time. And elbows drop down, wrists, fingertips, hands return to your sides. This idea of looking at things side by side, this cultural references, all of that. That was the basis. I'm going to stick this up, I don't know if you can see it or not. This is the original Wudang Qigong book. The way that I set this up originally was with Chinese on one side, Chinese was on the left, and English was on the right. So that as Professor Liu was teaching, he was over here teaching, the students could look at the same passages that he was looking at. His English was, not very good. Okay. But that wasn't, my Chinese got better. All right, that idea that we have Eastern culture, we have Western culture, and that we can put them together and benefit from both of them is absolutely something that I teach and that I hope you learn. All right, so it's one of those days. It is. Gong. As we start, I'm going to turn around and do this. As we start, the beginning is the same. I'm going to turn to the left, up, and down. Right? And I'm going to have to warm up my legs to do that. My legs are a little stiff. I did some walking yesterday afternoon. Yesterday evening, actually. And it was probably a little more than maybe I should have done. Alright, so as we're moving, right? Rising and lowering. The diagonal. So we have Wild Goose Flying, Gong. This is set 3. Right? The arm movements as they come up and come down are similar, but unlike what we're doing here with the connections, here the sense of lowering and returning is what we want to pay attention to, right? In physical movement, I'm going to cover more of the internal work next time. Today, we're paying attention to physical movement. All right, so as we lower, make sure that this knee comes out, right? Goes out on the 45. The heel is up, right? I'm not trying to keep my heel down. Here, the heel comes up. I need to stay over and well centered through my leg, through my heel, so that I can go all the way down. It does go all the way down. Pay attention to keeping the body well supported. Pay attention to holding. I was going to say something else. I'll come back to it in a minute. Pay attention to holding through the upper back and across the front so that the hips are well supported. Feet about shoulder width apart. Stand straight. And breathe in, palms up. And breathe out, press down. Turn to the left, open. And lower. One up. And center. Turn to the right. Open. Lower. And come back to center. Don't lean. I was leaning, don't lean. Try to keep more of your weight on the forward leg not on the back leg. So you have weight on the toe back here. But you want most of your weight. So maybe, 10, maybe 20% on the back. And 70 to 80% on the front. Use the upper body, just two more. Use the upper body to support itself so that the legs only have to bend. And don't stick your butt out. Last time. Palms up. Press down on both sides. Pull up through the crown of the head. Raise the heels and lower. Stay there. Breathe in. Breathe out. All right, we're going to do this again. This time, we're going to pay a little bit more attention to the breath. We're going to do a set of 3. And I've talked about these sets previously. I'm going to review that just a bit. In his book, Professor Liu gives the direction 6 or 9 times in one set. So my practice has been 6. The longer practice, so sets of 9 instead of sets of 6, is something that we can do. It's something that is, depending on how you practice, it's going to take more time. 9 is right. So I'm going to practice 6 sets. It's going to take me this much time. If I add 3 more sets, it's going to take me it's going to take me that much more time. As we go through that cycle, here's how I'm going to practice. We develop a habit. We want that. This is a good thing. We want those habits. My habit is 6. 6 in a set. I mean, again, I could change that if I wanted to. Not sure I'm going to at this point, but it's possible. In each of the sets, as this is Alpha Gong, as we come up, right? This opening of the arms comes from the back. It's not. It doesn't start here. It doesn't start with my hands. Okay. Starts at my back. The result of that stretch is that my hands come up, my arms come up. That part of the exercise. Breathe in, breathe out. All right? Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. In set 3, wild goose flying, breathe in. Breathe out. And breathe in. Breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. We have that same sense of expand and contract. As we lower, here, breathe out, open, yeah, there we go. All right, that opening here, keep the front legs straight and well placed. Let the back knee bend, and it bends out, not down. No, doesn't go down, it goes out. If I were to, and I ain't going there, but if I were to go all the way down, right? Yeah, close, I was close. My knee stays out over my, goes straight over my toes. It doesn't go down. And that is something that we absolutely want to pay attention to. The opening through the hip gives us more control over the fine muscles in the hip. There's a lot of little ones in there. Alright, there is. And it also gives us better placement. This is what part of why I'm stressing this sense of supporting the torso with the muscles through the torso, not on the legs. Okay, I'm slumped and I've got my weight shifted over to the front and I'm sitting on my hips and I can't move from here really. I can't do much of anything. If I pull up, you're here, all of a sudden now I've got some space that I can turn my waist. If I pull up a little bit more through the hip, I can now move my legs much more freely than I could sitting on my hip, sitting on the legs. That support makes so much difference for everything that we're doing. Right? So this, and I'm we're gonna do this excuse me, we're gonna do this 3 more times with the breath. And I stress again the need to pay attention to your own anatomy, right? That muscles, tendons, ligaments, bones, what have I got? What am I working with? What does this group of muscles do? What does that group of muscles do? And why would I want to pay attention to them? Because at every point in every movement, there are some muscles that can be more or less resting, and there are some that are more or less active. We want to use that. That's how we sustain. It don't historically, we go back. Now we don't have to go back that far. We can go back in my lifetime. We can. Going out to practice. Hey, 3 or 4 hours. We're going to go practice. We're going to go practice. That's not counting the folks who have dedicated themselves to that practice. Okay? Those folks, my teacher included, could be at it for 6, 7, 8 hours a day. All day. Yeah. You can't, you cannot, excuse me. I'm sorry. You cannot sustain that level of practice if your body's tense, if you're not working with your body, if you're not paying attention to when you need to do something, when you need to rest, it just, you cannot sustain it. That skill is something that I learned from dance. I wasn't out in the countryside in China, 1960s, practicing. My teacher was. I was not. I studied dance, and from my my studies of dance and what I learned as part of that study, I took that and applied it to my Tai Chi studies, applied it to my Qigong studies. That ability to sustain is one of the skills that we want to have. It's not accidental, it's not, oh well, it's something that we work for. And I'm apparently working on clearing my throat this morning. Alright. Set of 3. I'm going to go this way this time. I'm going to start on my right. You start on your left. Alpha Eagle. Breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in. Turn to left. Up. And breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. Smile. And breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. Pay attention to the upper back. Pay attention to the lower back. Hold through the hip. And last time, breathe in. Breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in one more time. Hands down along both sides. Pull up through the crown of the head. Raise the heels and lower. Stay there. Breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. Alright, next week, we can cover this again, set 4. I'm going to pay more attention to the internal workmanship, and I'm going to focus a little bit more on what Professor Liu has brought out in his book with this particular exercise. I'll be back on Wednesday next week with Xingyi, Thursday Tai Chi, and Friday Qigong. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.